KBLA1580.com. That's advertising at KBLA1580.com. KBLA 1580. We've got you black.
We're trying to rock steady here on the Tavis Smiley Show. It was a jam-packed first hour, and now we're into the second hour. Unless you're living under a rock, you know what we're talking about today. Joe Biden yesterday announced that he was going to stand down, and then moments later he endorsed Kamala Harris, a full-throated endorsement of Kamala Harris. And so the optics have changed, the calculus has changed, the game has changed, the frame has changed, and we're trying to make sense of all of it, all 3 hours of today's program. I started the first hour by saying that so many of you hit me up immediately on all of my socials, quoting me to me when the announcement was made. You've heard me say for weeks now, I ain't going, I ain't going, I ain't going. He's gone. I predicted that many weeks ago because this ain't my first rodeo. And so I was not surprised. As a matter of fact, we were prepared for that announcement to be made on Sunday. And indeed it was. So I've been at this a while now. And so you get a sense of how these things are going to play out over time when you check in and tap in and you're following all the right data points. Again, this I've been at this for a while, and so I wasn't surprised yesterday, but it does, of course, change the entire conversation. And so I again thank Geraldo Rivera and Dr. Cornel West and Jonathan and Maxine Waters. Just an amazing first hour with disparate points of view. And that's okay. This is talk radio. We don't have to always agree. And certainly inside of Black America, as I said moments ago, we are not a monolith. And so you're going to get varying points of view. If Barack Obama can be out of step with black people calling for an open convention, an open process, when everybody else seems to be lining up behind Kamala, then you know we got a conversation to be had. And so it's going to be interesting for the next few days until this thing starts to settle. And by settle, I mean we will see if she becomes Kamala Harris, the nominee of the party. We'll see who her running mate is going to be, and things will start to settle. I will tell you this. It is, in some ways, patently unfair that you get the baton handed to you with 15 weeks to go, and then you're supposed to do the impossible. As black folk, though, we know something about that, right? This ain't our first radio either. I made the joke yesterday, although it's not really a joke, that when things get so bad, they turn it over to black people. There are any number of examples of that in cities all across the country. The cities get so bad, y'all Negroes can have it. Go, run for mayor. You get us out of this mess. And once you do, of course, they want it back. You understand how that works. But at the end of the day, it's a box that Kamala is in many respects, with 15 weeks to go. Trying to do the impossible in a race where, the other guy has been leading for quite some time now. So we shall see, but we'll be here every day covering it to the extent that we can. I'm pleased now to have on this program my colleague at my home station in L.A., KBLA Talk 1580, Dr. Nii Quartey. He's also the White House correspondent for my home station in L.A. He is our national political affairs analyst. He hosts his own show every day called A More Perfect Union in Los Angeles on my home station. But for the purpose of this conversation, he is on because he has a book. Listen to this. I teased him yesterday, and I said, Negro, you got to give me some lottery numbers to play. Give me some lotto numbers to play, because his timing is uncanny. Tomorrow, his book about Kamala Harris publishes. It's called Kamala, the Motherland, and Me. The book literally comes out tomorrow. And yesterday, when all this news broke, his book jumped to #1 on the Amazon list in its category. It jumped to number one yesterday before the book even comes out on Tuesday. Talk about good timing. Nii Quartey, I still want those lotto numbers, man.
I'm working on them, Tavis. I'm working on them.
So first of all, congratulations on the book. As I said, the timing could not be more propitious. None of us had any idea that we'd be in this particular place, much less on the eve of your book coming out tomorrow. We'll talk about the book in just a second. Let me do some politics first. Yesterday was quite a day. Again, you cover these issues for us. And we often see you on MSNBC, offering your commentary there. Just give me your top line view, your top line read, 24 hours into this.
Well, Tavis, yesterday we experienced a political earthquake like no other. We saw a sitting president step aside. He stepped back from his reelection bid and simultaneously endorsed his Vice President Kamala Harris, for the job. And the crowd went wild. And there is still so much excitement in the air. And so much organizing work afoot across the country. To date, really just in less than 24 hours, we've seen Black women come together on old-fashioned Zoom and raised over $1.5 million in support of the vice president's bid for the presidency. We also saw that Vice President Harris made history. Having raised over $50 million, mostly in small dollar donations, within less than a 24-hour period. And so that is an indication of how much excitement there is across the country. There was a major call with Black women. Tonight, there will be a major call with Black men organized by, Roland Martin and the Collective PAC and a number of other sort of prominent Black political organizers, trying to, do the same thing the sisters were doing, and maybe even a little bit better. But, the vice president today delivered remarks from the South Lawn of the White House. It was her first set of remarks since President Biden's endorsement, and the vice president gave President Biden his kudos. And you certainly have heard a number of prominent Democrats up and down the ticket from across the country giving Biden his props for passing the torch.
Yeah, I should mention, just to add some color to what Nii Quartey was just saying, on this call with Black women last night, there were 44,000 people. 44,000 Black women on a Zoom call last night. I was just tracking it on my phone. I wasn't on the call, but I was tracking it on my phone. 44,000 Black women on this call last night with Kamala Harris. You heard him say over $51 million have already been raised in support of her over the last 24 hours. You heard him say there's a call tonight with Black men talking about her campaign. And you heard him mention that she gave remarks earlier today. These were her first public remarks since this story broke yesterday. When we come forward, they were brief, but when we come forward, if you've not heard, I will play for you her first remarks since she was endorsed by President Biden yesterday, and we'll get into this book, Kamala, The Motherland and Me, authored by Dr. Nii Quartey, when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley. Tavis Smiley. Ranked number 45 on the Heavy 100 list of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. Just a few short months ago, California Attorney General Rob Bonta filed 11 felony charges against Diana Taran, an assistant district attorney for Los Angeles County. The charges allege that Taran unlawfully accessed confidential computer data, including police officer files in 2018, and continued to use them after joining the DA's office in 2021. Ironically, Taran, who is now on administrative leave, oversaw the Public Integrity Division, responsible for handling high-profile cases of police misconduct and public corruption, including the charges brought against LA City Council member Karen Price last June. To be sure, the case against Price has raised plenty of eyebrows. Indeed, one noted legal scholar has said publicly, and I quote, "Everything about this prosecution reeks," close quote. Could AG Bonta, with aspirations to become California governor, be punishing Taran for her role in DA George Gascon's police accountability agenda to curry favor with police unions? Could DA Gascon be using the case against Price to showcase his tough stance on crime and political corruption as he vies to retain his seat as DA? Honestly, I have no idea, but here's what I know for sure. Karen Price has been elected and re-elected by thousands of voters, mostly black and brown, who stand to be further disenfranchised if this matter is not handled correctly, which is why it matters to us at KBLA Talk 1580. When the prosecutor is being prosecuted, it seems to me that at the very least, there ought to be a thorough, top-to-bottom, independent review of all cases under Diana Taran's purview to ensure that none of these cases have been tainted. Justice and fundamental fairness demand no less, if public trust truly matters. And I hope it does. For KBLA Talk 1580, I'm Tavis Smiley. We welcome your feedback.
Let's get back to more of Tavis Smiley right now.
Tavis Smiley and Dr. Nii Quartey. His new book is called Kamala, The Motherland and Me, the first book to profile America's first and only black woman vice president on the world stage, and maybe America's first woman president, first black woman president as well. Come November, we shall see. But this book is set to release tomorrow, and as I joked already, you couldn't ask for better timing of a book about Kamala Harris. No wonder, rather. It shot to #1 on the Amazon list yesterday. Congratulations to Nii Quartey on that. We should all be so lucky to get lightning in a bottle like he has with this book. We'll talk about the book here in just a second, but you heard Nii Quartey say moments ago that the vice president, Kamala Harris, spoke earlier today. These are her first comments since this news broke yesterday. There's a ceremony at the White House today celebrating, speaking of black women, the national champions of South Carolina, coached by my friend Don Staley. So they were at the White House today, Don Staley and the South Carolina women's basketball team, to be feted and celebrated for their national championship. And it was at that occasion that the vice president had the opportunity to share these few words.
Our president, Joe Biden, wanted to be here today. He is feeling much better and recovering fast, and he looks forward to getting back on the road. And I wanted to say a few words about our president. Joe Biden's legacy of accomplishment over the past 3 years is unmatched in modern history. In one term, he has already, yes, you may clap. In one term, he has already surpassed the legacy of most presidents who have served 2 terms in office. And I first came to know President Biden through his son, Beau. We worked together as attorneys general in our states. And back then, Beau would often tell me stories about his dad. He would talk about the kind of father and the kind of man that Joe Biden is. The qualities that Beau revered in his father are the same qualities that I have seen every day in our president. His honesty, his integrity, his commitment to his faith and his family, his big heart, and his love, deep love of our country. And I am firsthand witness that every day our President Joe Biden fights for the American people, and we are deeply, deeply grateful for his service to our nation.
So there you go. There you have a little taste of what she had to say today. Those, again, are her first public comments since news broke yesterday that Joe Biden, was going to stand down and give his endorsement to his Vice President Kamala Harris to take his place at the top of the ticket. We will see how that works out in the days, weeks, and months to come. We'll talk about some of that with Nii Quartey here in just a second. But just to connect the dots for you, we talked in the first hour to Cornel West, and we talked in the first hour to Maxine Waters. Maxine, Nii Quartey, I don't know if you heard this, you were listening, but she went in on Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama for calling for this open process. She went in. Maxine Waters, true to form, did not hold her tongue. She basically told them, stop with the power play. Stop with the power grab. And I said, I think y'all just heard Maxine Waters chin check Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama in one sentence. And she shot back, yes, Tavis, those were my words. She did not back down from it. She went in on Pelosi and Obama. Dr. West and I were talking in the first hour, Nii Quartey, about the ways in which that Obama got blitzed yesterday, as you know, on social media. After everybody else starts to line up behind Kamala Harris, Biden, of course, the Clintons, and others, folks who people thought should be in the race, like Gavin Newsom and others, coming out to endorse Kamala Harris. And then Obama shows up sort of tone deaf and says he wants an open process. And Negroes went in on Barack Obama yesterday, as we established pretty clearly in our first hour. But we made the point. I made the point in the first hour, and Kamala did it just again in those comments. This is part of what you know is rubbing Barack Obama raw. Every time the president speaks and every time the vice president speaks, they keep saying that he's the greatest president in modern history. And every time Obama hears that, I can assure you, he's cussing. It's like fingernails on the chalkboard every time he hears it, for them to tell him that he, Joe Biden, in one term, is the greatest president in modern history. I'm just keeping it real. If you're Barack Obama, that does not land well on you every time you hear it. So I ain't mad at the messaging of the Biden-Harris team. I'm just giving you some insight as to how Barack Obama must be feeling about that every time he hears it. And so he was not jumping to be so quick to endorse one Kamala Harris. Now, that will eventually happen, trust and believe, no doubt about that, at the appropriate time. If she's the nominee, he will come out and endorse Kamala Harris, and all will be forgotten, and they'll hug and kiss, and every kumbaya, and the Democrats will march on toward November trying to win this election. But I just wanted to connect the dots right quick for those who heard that first hour, and us talking about the ways in which that cannot land so nicely on Barack Obama's ears every time he says that. So I ask you now, Nii Quartey, what you make of that. Why do they keep using that line when you know it ain't landing well on the former president whose help you're going to need to win?
Yeah, I mean, it does strike me, and it strikes a number of other people as being a little bit tone deaf. And, who knows if, what the rationale is, around waiting. I know we had heard former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi during an MSNBC interview sort of warn against the appearance of a coronation when it comes to VP Harris seeking the Democratic nomination. But what was strange to me is I don't remember hearing those concerns when Hillary Clinton was seeking the Democratic nomination. And I didn't hear some of the same people expressing the same concern or worry about even the appearance of a coronation of Hillary Clinton for the Democratic nomination. And so, we know that Kamala may not have been a number of folks' sort of first choice to be the nominee. I think that's sort of out there in the ether, but it's very clear based on the enthusiasm we're seeing in fundraising and organizing work across the country. I can't tell you how many people, have reached out to find a link to sign up to volunteer on the campaign or give to the campaign. And this really represents a changing of the guard. It's a generational shift, and I wouldn't be surprised if some folks might have a bit more challenge making that shift than others. But look, the future awaits, and with a little bit over 100 days until the election, there are a lot of people that are voting with their feet so that they can vote at the ballot box in November.
Yep. One other thing I want to ask you right quick about what you said earlier, then we'll get into the book. Nii Quartey is with us for the entire hour. We have another guest that's going to join us here on the backside of this hour and offer some commentary. We'll get to that. I'll tell you more about that in a second here. But he's with us for the whole hour, so we'll get back to this book in just a second here. But tell me very quickly what you expect out of this call tonight with black men and their support of Kamala Harris. Again, last night, 44,000 black women were on a call with Donna Brazile and many other black women lining up their support for Kamala Harris. They raised $1.5 million last night. You add that to the $50 million that's been raised outside of that, and Kamala Harris is looking at about $51.5 million already raised in just 24 hours. I'm asking the black men question for all the obvious reasons. We've been talking about it. You've been talking about it on your show. Everybody's aware. It came up in our first hour again today about black men and Donald Trump. But there is this big call tonight about black men and Kamala Harris. Juxtapose those two things to me, if you will. Black men and Kamala Harris and the stories about black men and Donald Trump.
I think it's a great question, Tavis, and I think black men for Harris are willing to offer a counter narrative. I think there are black men that aren't fooled by the cherry picking of Kamala Harris's record as district attorney in San Francisco, as attorney general in California. There's a rumor out there, that she just, was in that job and she just locked up a bunch of black men, right? Mm-hmm. And that is just not true. And these black men that are coming together know it's not true. And so they want to organize their time, talent, and treasure in support of Vice President Harris's bid for the Democratic nomination. This call happening at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight, co-hosted by Michael Blake, Kahil Thompson, Bakari Sellers, Quentin James, and, of course, Roland Martin, is one of many. There are a number of these calls. There are a number of these organizing efforts in places across the country, particularly in battleground states, mm-hmm. that are already happening. I can't tell you how many group chats have been going off at all hours of the day and the night. Right. And I just think this is an important moment for Vice President Harris. We know that, former President Trump and the Republicans, have been aggressively going after black men, believing that if they should sort of, chip away at enough support among black men in the Democratic column, they can win this thing. And so to see so many black men coming out so early and enthusiastically in unity for Vice President Harris's bid for the White House is a sight to see.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I've got 4 minutes here now. We can continue, of course, when we come forward. I got you for the hour. We're going to be joined by Amy Allison in just a second here and get her take on things. I got some specific questions for her. But tell me about this book. We'll get more deeply into it on the backside. But the book is called Kamala, the Motherland, and Me. Tell me about the book, why you wrote it, and broadly speaking, what the book is. And we'll interrogate that again as we move forward.
Sure. Well, the book is an invitation to re-examine some of our assumptions about Vice President Harris, the continent of Africa, and ourselves. Tavis, you've been to the continent many times, mm-hmm. And with so many trailblazers in our community. I'm thinking about your trip to the continent, simply to Ghana, with the late Dr. Maya Angelou. Mm-hmm. And I felt that I had a duty to tell this story about this political figure that folks don't have the full picture on. Mm-hmm. I thought it was an opportunity to sort of zoom out and take a look at the continent that's the homeland of my father. My dad was born and raised in Accra. Mm-hmm. And I remember being a kid, and my dad told me this story. He went to HBCU in Texas, where he met my mom, Texas College in Tyler, Texas. And he told me the story of being in his dorm room, and a bunch of his friends come running up, and they're banging on his door, and they say, "Joe, your people are on TV. Your people are on TV." He said, "My people are on TV." They all rushed down to the student lounge, and right there on a black and white television in 1970, Tarzan and Jane. Mm. Even at an HBCU, that was the limited view that some of our people had about the continent of Africa. And so as his youngest American-born son, as a journalist, I felt a duty to tell the story about this historic first, visiting the motherland for the first time, and to talk about all the innovation and the promise that is afoot on the continent, and to challenge some of the assumptions that we have about one another. And so that was really the motivation for this. I didn't start out thinking I was going to write a book. I thought I was going to come back and do a news package or a limited series podcast, and that was that.
Mm-hmm.
But, when the Holy Spirit moves,
oh, yeah.
I follow, and divine timing has been a part of every single step of this journey.
Yeah.
I can't wait for your listeners to read the book.
As we say, you don't quench the spirit, man. When the Holy Spirit moves, you don't quench it. You go with it. You go with it. I'm glad you did. And again, we plan and God laughs. You thought you were going to do one thing, but something else was in the offing, and that book is here now. It publishes tomorrow. It is called Kamala, the Motherland and Me. It is, once again, the first book to profile America's first and only black woman vice president, and perhaps soon America's first and only black woman president on the world stage. Nii Quartey, let me ask you right quick. I got 10 seconds. Let me ask you right quick. Your father, of course, is from Ghana. Was this, when you traveled with the vice president to Africa, was this your first trip to the continent?
It was not my first trip, but it certainly won't be my last.
Okay. I got it. When we come forward, we'll talk more about the book. I have some other guests I want to introduce you to. We got them lined up for the next 90 minutes, so don't move. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Seeking the truth. Speaking the truth. This is the Tavis Smiley Show.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin doesn't plan to run for president after President Biden dropped out of the race. The former Democrat, who recently became an independent, told CBS Mornings he has no plans to run for office, but called on Democrats to hold a mini primary to find the strongest candidate. Former President Obama isn't endorsing Vice President Harris just yet. In a statement, Obama didn't explicitly call for Harris to replace Biden on the ticket, but rather said Democratic leaders would come together to choose a new nominee. The head of the Secret Service will testify on Capitol Hill today. Lawmakers are demanding answers from Director Kimberly Cheadle over the attempt on former President Trump's life. Many lawmakers are calling for Cheadle to step down or be fired. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Me and the kids were always messaging. They LOL'd, I ROFL'd, but then I changed phone and the bubbles went green. But where there's a fill, there's a way. And I found a way to share what's in here. I'm tapping my heart.
WhatsApp, the place to safely send messages between different devices. Message privately with everyone.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. At Blindster, we offer custom-made faux wood and real wood blinds and shutters, cellular shades, Roman shades, bamboo shades, exterior shades, and more, all at factory direct prices. Don't pay too much for new blinds. Go to Blindster.com.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers completed a 3-game sweep over the Boston Red Sox The Dodgers had 6 home runs from 6 different players. The homestand continues tonight with the start of a 4-game series against the San Francisco Giants. The Angels played the 5,000th game Sunday in the 63-year history of their franchise. They celebrated with a win at Oakland. They snapped a 5-game losing streak to the A's. The Angels head up to Seattle for the start of a 3-game series tonight. For all alumni from schools in the SWAC Conference, the SWAC is moving their men's and women's conference basketball tournaments to Atlanta in 2025. The postseason tournaments for the HBCU schools is scheduled for March 11th to March 15th at the Gateway Center Arena, home of the WNBA Atlanta Dream. The men and women winners in the SWAC tournament earn an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Around here, we don't believe in victimhood. We believe in raising our voices, amplifying black voices in the climate conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you tired of being stuck without internet access? Connect and go with LA County Library. It's simple. Visit your local LA County Library location and borrow a hotspot for free to get Wi-Fi wherever you are.
We must understand the politics of our community, and we must know what part politics play in our lives.
Questions about black voters, their disengagement, lack of information, and support or lack thereof for Democratic candidates have once again taken center stage as Democrats, Republicans, and independent candidates compete for this critical voting bloc. Will black voters abandon Democrats in this election, move historic numbers of votes toward the Republican nominee, or will they continue a decades-long trend of overperforming for Democratic candidates up and down the ballot? The stakes have never been higher for black America. Tune in to KBLA's new show, The Black Pack, hosted by veteran political strategist Adrian Shropshire, every Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. for a breakdown of the issues, rhetoric, polling, and more this election year. It's The Black Pack with Adrian Shropshire, Fridays from 4 to 6 p.m. exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZzzQuil.
ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through HIMS, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
He's rooting for everybody black. Everybody black. More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
What a day, what a day. We're in the second hour, and I'm on the 7th or 8th guest. I've lost count. They've been rolling through here. Dr. Cornel West was on earlier. Geraldo Rivera was on earlier. Jonathan Darman was on earlier. Congresswoman Maxine Waters was on earlier. Dr. Nii Quartey is still with us right now, and I'm pleased to bring to the microphone now Amy Allison. Amy Allison is the founder and president of She the People, the nation's leading organization dedicated to an America redefined and inspired by women of color. With that, Amy, you must be feeling yourself right about now.
just about right now. We started this journey 2018 with the idea. It was like a mind-expanding idea to inspire American, creativity and vision about what's possible. We have all these negative forces, but women of color hold this key. It was untapped and underappreciated force in American politics. And just a few years later, wow, Kamala Harris is poised to be our presidential candidate, a woman of color, and there's a trifecta between the women of color as a voting base, excellent leadership, and this unique ability of women of color to stand up against and defeat Trump and the MAGAs. So this is, I'm feeling myself, but it's not for me. It's there's millions of us, and I'm really feeling for the country right now.
Breaking news here. Perhaps Nancy Pelosi, former Speaker of the House, was listening and heard Maxine Waters go in on her in our first hour. She has just come out now and endorsed Kamala Harris. Let me read exactly what she said. She said, and I quote, my enthusiastic support for Kamala Harris for president is official, personal, and political, close quote. My enthusiastic support for Kamala Harris for president is official, personal, and political. That's from Nancy Pelosi, Democrat of California, of course, former House Speaker, who was just talking days ago about being mindful that we don't have a coronation in the Democratic Party. So the last man standing is Barack Obama. We'll see what Barack Obama says, because he and Nancy Pelosi were both on that thing talking about an open conference, an open competition, an open process. Nancy Pelosi got her mind right, and she's now come out to endorse Kamala. If you didn't hear the first hour, Maxine, when I say she went in, she went in. She told Pelosi and Obama, stop the power play. Stop the power grab. Get in line. She said she was none too happy with either one of them. And I said, I think Maxine Waters just chin-checked Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi, and she shot right back live on the air. Yes, Tavis, those are my words. She was not having it. And so Nancy Pelosi has gotten in line. And my sense is, Amy, that others will be getting in line as well. And we all know at the appropriate time, Barack Obama will come out, never mind his earlier comments, and endorse Kamala if she's the nominee. That's all going to happen. That's just how politics works. But let me just go back to yesterday and the moment where Joe Biden stands down and then comes out and says, I'm endorsing Kamala Harris for president. How, as a black woman, did you feel? How did you read that moment?
It was an incredible and historic moment. I mean, I've been supporting black women running for Congress, Senate, and advocating for Kamala Harris to get on the ticket back in 2020. Mm-hmm. And here's what I know. When a sitting office holder, sitting president who historically lets no daylight between withdrawing and endorsing his woman of color VP and said, listen, he sends a clear message to his donors, to the infrastructure of his campaign, the 1,000 employees that he's got, they got working on the campaign, to organizers, to the delegates in the states. He sent a clear message. This is who to get behind. And we know that black women who have had such a hard time, it's been a glass ceiling for women, let alone a woman of color, to get in the White House, as well as places like the Senate. Mm-hmm. When you see that kind of support, it's a game changer. Yeah. I mean, the closest thing we have is Delaware Senator Tom Carper, decision to use his resignation speech to pass the torch to Lisa Blunt Rochester, really smoothing the way to the Senate. And we can see that happening, and that's really made the difference. And I think he's done a lot to get people in line so that we don't spend the next 100 days politically fighting and a bunch of insiders. We actually spend the next 100 days making the case to voters and turning out the vote.
Amy, I played this earlier in our first hour. I'm sure you've already heard it. If you have not, for those who may not have been listening in the first hour, I want to play the MAGA commercial that's running right now. It didn't take them long to get this commercial in play. We know it's going to get uglier. Maxine Waters said in our first hour it's going to get nastier. I've been saying they're going to Willie Hortonize her in a way that you can't even imagine. This is the MAGA commercial that's running right now.
Kamala was in on it. She covered up Joe's obvious mental decline.
Our president is in good shape, in good health, tireless, vibrant, and I have no doubt about the strength of the work that we have done.
But Kamala knew Joe couldn't do the job, so she did it. Look what she got done. A border invasion, runaway inflation, the American dream dead. They created this mess. Kamala owns this failed record. Make America Great Again Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
That's just the first one, and that's child's play. It's going to get a lot worse than that. Trust and believe. We know all the reasons that this is an uphill battle. I don't need to spend time unpacking that for you, Amy Allison. Tell me though why you think that this black woman can actually win this race.
All right. First, I want to talk about those commercials.
Sure.
Those negative commercials are intended to suppress and suppress our vote, and to make us feel like we can't win, and they're going to call us names. And listen, the last 100 days we have to focus on talking to and lifting up and getting a vote plan for each other, the base of the party. So those commercials are almost, we got to just sort of ignore that. The path to victory, and I have said this before and I'll say it again, for the states that are the must-win states according to the Electoral College, which include states like Arizona, Michigan, Georgia, North Carolina, Nevada, those states have nearly 25% of the base of voters, women of color. That's black women plus Asian American and Latinas. Yeah. And so the fact of the matter is Kamala Harris, presidential candidate, appeals to women of color. And we were worried, a lot of us were worried about a re-elect prospect without the infusion of enthusiasm, because black women in particular are such amazing influencers that they're force multipliers. They get the friends and the families out to vote. And without that kind of enthusiasm, it was really hard to say, how are we going to get the turnout in these key states? Yeah. Well, if last night's call with 44,000 black women organized in just a few hours wasn't enough to convince people that black women for sure are going to do whatever it takes. That's going to be the difference maker. That's how we know that we can win.
No, you're right. I take that. And the question is, I want to ask this when we come forward, and I want to bring Nii Quartey back into this conversation. His new book about Kamala. It's called Kamala, the Motherland and Me. That book publishes tomorrow. It's already a #1 Amazon bestseller, born of the news yesterday. So Nii Quartey is in the sweet spot with his new book, and I ain't mad at him. But I want to ask Amy when we come forward right quick. Black women for sure will get Kamala's back. You know where I'm going, right? You know where I'm going. You know where I'm going. What about the white women? What about the good white women? That's the question. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement. Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
Help prevent gun violence tragedies.
Gun violence restraining orders can help to prevent individuals at risk of harming themselves or others by removing their guns for 21 days up to 5 years. Learn more about how to petition for a GVRO and the role of GVROs in safeguarding communities by visiting lacountygvro.org or by calling 1-833-540-0473. GVROs can save lives.
As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust new Febreze car vent clips, now with 3 times greater scent control, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with new Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing, which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up, Oscar!
A violent crime is committed every 24 seconds. The U.S. Concealed Carry Association exists to provide you with firearms education, training, and access to self-defense liability insurance, so when trouble comes, you'll be ready. Over 800,000 Americans trust the USCCA, and right now, there's an exclusive, limited-time offer for radio listeners. Go to defendfamily.com to get a free family defense guide, a survival secrets training video from a retired FBI agent, and see all the benefits of membership. Go to defendfamily.com now.
More honesty than you can handle. More empowerment than you can imagine. You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Amy Allison, who is the founder and president of She the People, the nation's leading organization dedicated to an America redefined and inspired by women of color. And please be joined by my colleague, Dr. Nii Quartey, author of the new book, the captivating memoir, Kamala, The Motherland and Me, the first book to profile America's first and only black woman, vice president, perhaps the first black woman president. The book drops tomorrow, and again, his timing could not be more propitious. Love, love, love. All of this from my friend Nii Quartey. Nii, stand by just for a second here. Amy, back to you right quick. You talked about black women getting her back. Indeed, they will. 44,000 of them on a phone call last night. They raised $1.5 million for her last night in that one phone call. So sisters will get a sisters back. What about these white women?
Yeah. A majority of white women are Republican and have been for some time. So the coalition of Democrats who elected Biden-Harris in 2020 include white women. But the path to victory over the next 100 days can't be dependent on convincing white women who, were Trump voters and try to convince them to vote for Kamala Harris at this late hour. I think what we can understand is that it's white women. We can do our best to argue, particularly around issues of abortion and reproductive justice, which is a real vulnerability for Republicans as J.D. Vance and Trump. J.D. Vance advances a national abortion ban and things like that. That is a vulnerability. We might be able to pick up some independent, white women voters. But the path to victory can't be dependent only on expanding white women's vote. Rather, we have to increase to historic levels the turnout of women. The majority of the women who are Democrats are women of color, Asian American, Latina, and Native women. And those are where I think we're going to get our gains, particularly in our swing states. So, yeah, white women, some will come. It's always around between 30 to 40%. It's not the majority, but it's necessary in our coalition.
So let me ask you finally here, Amy, and we'll let you run here and wrap up at Nii Quartey when we come forward. My last question, we talked about black women and white women. Now the black man question. There's a big phone call tonight that Nii Quartey teed up for us earlier. The sisters were on a Zoom last night. All the brothers will be on a Zoom tonight. And yet you know the storyline about Trump and black men. So will black men get Kamala Harris's back?
I think so. I mean, there's always sort of a small group of people who want to, who are siding with Trump, but it's such a small percentage of black men. The vast majority of black men are equally concerned with justice issues, economic issues, and they're Democrats. And so the story isn't that black men are turning to Republican. That's been overblown. And the story is that black men and black women, more than any other group, vote in aligned ways. I mean, you look at Latinos or you look at Asian Americans, and men and women vote much more differently than amongst black people. So I think what you're going to see the meeting tonight and amongst Black people is consensus that Kamala Harris needs to be elected. And we're going to see most Black men joining Black women on that.
Amy Allison, once again, is the founder and president of She the People, the nation's leading organization dedicated to an America that is redefined and inspired by women of color. And she is in the zeitgeist right now because Kamala Harris has been endorsed by Joe Biden to be the leader of the Democratic ticket come November. So I'm sure we'll be checking in with Amy once again a couple times, perhaps between now and November. But Amy, thank you for your work and witness. Good to have you on this program.
Thank you so much.
When we come forward, our remaining moments talking about the new memoir, Kamala, The Motherland and Me, with our own Nii Quartey on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles is a nonprofit law firm that protects and advances the rights of the most underserved, leveling the playing field and ensuring that everyone can have access to the justice system. Every year, LAFLA provides free, high-quality legal services to more than 100,000 people living in poverty across greater Los Angeles. Their unique combination of neighborhood offices, self-help centers at courthouses, and domestic violence clinics puts Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles on the front lines in vulnerable communities and at the forefront of change. LAFLA's expert team of attorneys, paralegals, and support staff works to provide direct representation, offer counsel and advice, provide referrals, and educate the community about their legal rights through workshops and seminars. With locations all over LA, you can access their services or volunteer to help no matter where you live. And if you have an urgent issue, call 213-235-0060. That's 213-235-0060. To get legal help, make a donation, or volunteer, visit lafla.org. lafla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Tips to help improve your credit score in 2024. Establishing credit is an important key to achieving financial health, but building a credit history from scratch can feel challenging since you need credit to build credit. First, what does it mean to build credit? All consumers have a score between 300 and 850. You want your score to be as high as possible as lenders look at your credit score to make loan and credit decisions. A good credit score shows you have a track record of borrowing money responsibly. Remember, it's never too late to build or rebuild your credit. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase & Company.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
This is Tavis Smiley and Dr. Nii Quartey. His new book is called Kamala, The Motherland and Me, with visits to Ghana, Tanzania, and Zambia. The book chronicles Dr. Quartey's remarkable journey aboard Air Force Two, covering Vice President Harris during her 9-day visit to the continent of Africa. In the narrative, he weaves his own personal story. His father, of course, was Ghanaian. He lost his father some years ago, but he is the youngest son of a Ghanaian father. And so it's quite the book. I can promise you, you will not be disappointed. Already an Amazon #1 bestseller. Once again, the book is called Kamala, The Motherland and Me. In the 2.5 minutes I have left, Dr. Quartey, what do you hope folk will take away from this book, and how do you think the reading of the book might might impact the lens through which we see her, and help us decide whether or not we want to, in fact, vote for her?
Well, Tavis, I think this story will help people to widen the lens and to perhaps even see part of themselves in the story of the vice president, not just the story of her while in office,
right?
But the story of how she moves as a leader. You know, I think so much about the vice president is representative of modern women. And I think there are people that celebrate that and people who have contempt for that. But I think this book gives people an opportunity to interrogate the why.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why do they have a contempt for it? Or why do we celebrate modern women like Vice President Harris? It is an incredible journey. I can't wait for folks to join and for also people to turn the page on their outdated view of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
It is a magical place where there's so much innovation that's afoot. And, you know, I think this book really lays out what's at stake,
yep,
not just for Black people in the United States, but Black people across the diaspora, depending on what we do in November.
I should also mention, because I know this, and there's a beautiful picture on the back of the book that documents this and chronicles this moment. But unlike a lot of books written about people of her stature, she actually cooperated with you and spent some time with you, talking to you for the book.
That's right. She sure did. And I'll give you all just a little bit of something. Our vice president has a mean recipe for jollof rice, but she didn't tell me where she got it from. You got to read the book. You got to read the book. I promise you're going to learn things about Madam Vice President that you didn't know, that are going to make you proud. They're going to make you be able to relate, and that may excite you to go out and channel that energy in some pretty constructive ways.
The book is called Kamala, The Motherland, and Me. It is the first book to profile Kamala Harris in this way. As you heard me say a moment ago, she cooperated with the book. And Nii Quartey, and I'm rooting for everybody Black, but I'm celebrating particularly and especially and unapologetically my friend, my brother, my colleague, Nii Quartey. So happy for him. This is his first book, and the timing, as I said earlier, could not be better. It releases tomorrow, so let's all support Nii Quartey and read more about the Black woman vice president who may very well be the next president of these United States. Again, the book is called Kamala, The Motherland, and Me. Congratulations, Nii Quartey. Proud of you, man. Appreciate you. Talk to you soon, my friend.
Thank you, Tavis. Talk to you soon.
More of Tavis Smiley. We got Reva Martin and Breonna Joy Gray, other voices, in the next hour as we continue to talk about Joe Biden standing down and endorsing Kamala Harris. You're listening, and I'm glad about it, to Tavis Smiley.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin